What if I told you right now, thousands of women are making the decision that could transform their bodies, skyrocket their performance, and ultimately impact their health and their life forever. A choice that remains often in the shadows, wrapped in whispers, and buried under judgment, especially by men. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on women and performance-enhancing substances. No judgment, no sugarcoating, just the unfiltered truth no one is willing to talk about. Performance-enhancing drugs have existed in male sports, especially bodybuilding, for decades, with extensive research. But when it comes to women, the conversation goes silent. The reality, women are using PEDs, from anabolic steroids to SARMs to peptides like growth hormone. Unfortunately, they have less information, less scientific backing, less safety protocols, or medical oversight. I'm not here to encourage the use. I'm not here to condemn anyone's decisions. I myself have made my own choices. And if you've been viewing my YouTube videos for a few years, you've already known that. I'm here to acknowledge the reality, even fitness influencers, and discuss the landscape on where it's taking the industry. What's the landscape look like today? Female PEDs have been steadily on the rise over the past decade, particularly found in competitive physique sports like bodybuilding, CrossFit, even recreational fitness. And you guessed it, your favorite influencers probably aren't natural, and they're also editing and photoshopping their videos and photos, but we're not going to go into that today. The reasons vary. Some people wanting to have instant or faster physical transformations, fat loss. Some are enhanced athletes trying to increase their performance, make the most of their gym time and their recovery time, especially in a caloric deficit if they're getting ready for a competition stage. Maybe some are looking to break plateaus they've been facing for years because they decided to stay natty for so long. Or perhaps they have a therapeutic dosage for hormone replacement therapy purposes and are actually getting it scripted from a doctor. Understanding that each woman makes different choices is important to start. And I want to also emphasize that every woman is the one making these decisions, or at least you should be. Remember, it's no one else's accountability except yourself if you decide to take a substance. That's my pet peeve, especially when it comes to women who are enhancing in the bodybuilding space, is blaming a coach or a partner that they took A, B, C. You ultimately decided what you were putting into your mouth. So women, remember, you have agency in your life. And I'm going to continue discussing what these PEDs may or may not do for those of you who have not tried them yourself. There are various types of PEDs to remember. First and foremost, we commonly know about AAs, androgenic anabolic steroids, which we would commonly consider, say, an Anavar, Winstrol, Masterone, as some of the most common ones you'll hear in women, as well as Primobolan. Then we have peptides, which have been a hot topic in the past few years, discussing ones that are growth promoters or human growth hormone and IGF-1, as well as GLPs, which aid in fat loss. Next, we have fat burners and bronchodilators, which we know a lot about for not just those in bodybuilding and physique enhancement, but for also CrossFit athletes or others that are focused on more of that endurance and cardiovascular performance and output. Things like a clenbuterol, yoga would be common examples. Diuretics, which I consider one of the more undertoned in the female space, but can have some of the most severe and deadly consequences we've seen in the past few years. I almost forgot to talk about SARMs, selective androgen receptor modulators. This is one that's becoming more and more popular, even though they are not FDA approved. I personally can say that's something I have tried a few and did not have a positive experience. It always affected my blood pressure. I always got headaches and some other side effects. Common ones you'll hear about are Ostarine and Rad140. I do want to note, I am discussing this further along with my husband in our private school community. So make sure you check out the link below if you're interested in this topic with PEDs, functional health, and bodybuilding. From a benefit standpoint, we actually know from scientific data, strength and power output can exceed 15 to 20%, especially in our heavy compound movements. Once again, we know progressive overload is the king of muscle growth, but that's a discussion for another time. Enhanced muscle protein synthesis, which, what is that doing? Building muscle and preventing the breakdown of our healthy muscle tissue so we can grow more. Reducing body fat percentages. Certain compounds are known to do that, especially growth hormone, which some people don't necessarily consider anabolics, but it does have anabolic properties. Increased bone density, connective tissue, which sometimes we need a little bit of help in that area as women with changes in our hormones throughout the month. Improved recovery between your training sessions, and enhanced performance metrics across all different sports. For elite competitors, this can literally mean the difference between you earning a pro card and getting second place. And for recreational users or influencers, this can be achieving much faster results in weeks or months versus what it would normally take years to accomplish. But even with these benefits, there are serious risks to consider before enhancement. First and foremost, female virilization. This can come in various forms, and I've discussed it in several different videos, but some of the primary ones you will notice are vocal cord changes, facial structure differences, facial hair growth, acne, changes in your genitalia area. These are some of the primary ones you will hear about and are often irreversible. Menstrual cycle disruption or changes in your hormonal profile that are often taking longer than anticipated to recover. And if you have a goal of having a family one day, this is very important. Hormonal imbalances, including the thyroid or adrenals, which can affect your long-term performance and cognitive abilities. Cardiovascular strain from cholesterol and blood pressure standpoint. Don't forget the liver. We all know that oral steroids do affect the liver health. So just because you're putting TUDCA and NAC in your supplement plan doesn't mean that you're going to prevent liver issues or even kidney issues down the road. Legal and career consequences if you are drug tested. And last but not least, the psychological effects that come from taking performance enhancing substances. People don't talk about this enough, but it does affect your brain chemistry. And some of you that may be on cycle notice that you're more aggressive, you might have more drive, but you have also more male tendencies. That can be from whatever you're taking in your supplement stack. Perhaps the greatest danger isn't that the women are taking PEDs to start with, but the profound lack of female-specific information and medical oversight. Most PED protocols were developed and tested on men. Dosages, cycle strategies, post-cycle therapies rarely account for female physiology. This information gap means women are often navigating in uncharted waters with devastating consequences. Even medical professionals are often ill-equipped to provide guidance or treatment and would rather condemn the use to begin with, rather than supporting their client by providing them safety information or adjustments to those protocols. Now, beyond the health complications, there is an ethical question that we need to consider. Is the use of anabolic androgenic steroids or other performance-enhancing substances an authentic accomplishment or an artificial advancement? I hate seeing this online because it's like people are taking things for a short, which sure, as we talked about before, it can improve your performance. But at the end of the day, if someone is not actually putting in the work, following their meal plan, training harder every single workout, putting in extra reps, extra sets, pushing their cardio to the max, they're not going to get better, even with PEDs. And I can speak to several people, but it wasn't the work that they needed to put in. And they would leave some on the table. And unfortunately, that's why they didn't get the results they wanted. What responsibility do enhanced athletes have to disclose this information to fellow competitors or even their fan base? How do we balance a personal choice with fair competition? How do we approach the judging standard and criteria when it requires a certain look at different levels of competition stages? And what impact will this have on younger athletes who feel pressured to enhance this? While we cannot and will not provide specific protocols, we can advocate for a harm reduction approach. Getting regular blood work and monitoring your health on a weekly basis, especially with blood glucose and blood pressure monitor, starting with the minimal effective dosage required, as well as a proper cycle length, understanding proper warning signs, having a post-cycle strategy, working with a knowledgeable coach as well as healthcare providers to make sure you are fully supported and making fully informed decisions, which is why I'm putting out YouTube videos like this. So make sure you like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. The reality is there are many women that choose this path and will continue to choose this path. And it's not a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is. And so what should we do? The world of female PED use exists whether we talk about it publicly or not. The choice to use or abstain is a very personal one. And I want to emphasize, you should always be very thoughtful and considerate, because once you enhance, you're never natural again. Even if you don't touch a cycle years and years and years later, you're still not natural. True empowerment comes not just from substances, but from information. and the power to make fully informed decisions about one's own body and the potential consequences that exist. This is not promoting or condemning. It's about acknowledging what the reality looks like, removing the shadows, and making this a topic less dangerous than it already is.